So, I watched The Exorcist Believer, the alleged first installment of the Exorcist film soft reboot trilogy. I say allegedly because this movie cost $430 million and only made $27 million opening weekend. I feel like they're not gonna make a sequel to this one. They'll probably do another reboot, if I had to guess. Now, technically, this movie only cost $30 million, but Blumhouse, or more specifically their parent company Universal, spent $400 million on the rights to the Exorcist franchise. Franchises in heavy air quotes, because other than the first one, all subsequent Exorcist films have been met with critical and commercial failure. The Exorcist 3 does have a cult following. I haven't seen it. It's supposed to be pretty good, but it's pretty much unrelated from the other films. The Exorcist is not a movie with franchise potential. Clearly, Universal is trying to bank off the name recognition, but $400 million is obscene amount of money, and I do not understand how they think they can make it back. Maybe with Halloween Horror Night sales at Universal Studios? Do they get $400 million worth of sales each year? I'm sure they're gonna have Exorcist shit for every year at Halloween Horror Nights now to try to recoup their loss. The Exorcist is considered by many to be the greatest horror movie of all time, if not one of the best movies of all time in general. I'm not one of those people who considers it to be the best horror movie of all time. I think it's pretty good. I don't really have a strong emotional connection to it, but a lot of people do. And those people, the hardcore fans of The Exorcist, think it's sacrilege to release a sequel to it, and will basically not watch a sequel that comes out to it out of spite. Name recognition actually works against it in this case. And then, like, young people, they don't know what the fuck The Exorcist is unless they're into films. It's not like they're gonna be like, oh shit, I need to see the new Exorcist film. They don't give a fuck. So, this seems like an absolutely brain-dead move to spend that much money on this, especially with this movie not even making back its budget opening weekend, when horror movies tend to fall off pretty hard after their opening weekend and usually make most of their money during that. Anyway, enough about the background of the film. Let's talk about the meat and bones, the actual quality of the film. Is it good? No. It's pretty bad. It's not the worst movie I've ever seen. It's probably not even the worst horror movie that'll come out this year, but it's pretty fucking bad. It's directed by David Gordon Green, who'd also directed the Halloween reboot trilogy, which I have not seen. So I guess he's just trying to direct all of the reboot trilogies of classic horror movies. It stars Leslie Odom Jr. and then a bunch of people I've never seen before in my life. The basic setup of the plot is Leslie Odom Jr. is a single father. His wife died in the Haiti earthquakes, which was kind of weird. I guess it's not too soon anymore because it was like 13 years ago, but it still feels kind of gross using like an actual pretty big tragedy for your stupid horror movie backstory. But anyway, pregnant wife died in earthquake. They were able to save his daughter, but his wife did not make it, and then his daughter goes missing in the woods along with her friend, and they come back and they're acting weird and they're possessed by a demon, obviously, because it's called The Exorcist. I actually liked the first act of this movie quite a bit. It feels a lot like the movie Prisoners, which I think is a perfect movie. Now, obviously, it's nowhere near as good as Prisoners, but I do like sort of the paranoia and fear of the two dads and their missing daughters. Town's looking for them and no one knows what's going on. But we know what's going on. Clearly, they've been possessed by a demon because the movie's called The Exorcist. After the first act, the movie is terrible. The pacing is terrible. There's like 20 minutes of what's going on with my kid, which is a big gripe I have with a lot of horror movies. If you're making a horror movie and the title and/or trailer give away the fact that it's paranormal, do not have more than like 10 minutes dedicated to wondering if it's paranormal or not. Like, just stop it. It's called The Exorcist. We know they're not just traumatized or mentally ill. Just stop. So there's like 20 minutes minutes of exposition for that, and then there's 20 minutes of exposition. They're explaining what an exorcism is. They have to go meet characters from the first movie, because of course it's a legacy sequel, so you gotta have those member berries in. And then there's a 2-minute scene where a character delivers what feels like an advertisement for church slash just like religion. You could easily see this monologue given in an advertisement for the Mormon church or like one of those ads you get on YouTube. It's very weird. It even has footage of people at church where she's like, yes, you know, religion is hope and it doesn't matter what religion it is, you know, they motivate you to keep going and whatever. A very similar 2-minute monologue that's an advertisement for church happens later in the movie as well. I've heard some people calling this movie like really religious and like pro-religion, which is inherent to the genre of demonic possession movies because they require God and the devil to be real and God to be heroic and the devil to be bad. And there's even a lot of that in the original Exorcist, but it's executed in such a strange way where, like I said, there's 2 scenes that could just be an ad you get on YouTube for religious denomination or whatever. And then like you could say this movie is anti-abortion because that plays into it. I think that it's kind of up in the air whether it's actually anti-abortion or not, but the unfavorable interpretation of the events in the movie would be that it is. And then when they're like doing the exorcism, they have to gather the townsfolk who each seem to be from a different Christian denomination. They're like gathering the Avengers. It's so lame and so stupid. The movie is not scary. It's not executed in a scary way. There's not the constant tension like there should be in a horror movie. The exorcism scene is like silly and bad because there's just 5 random schlubs from the town and they're each doing like their own unique Christianity approach to team up. By our powers combined, we can banish the demon. So yeah, this movie is bad. It's bad. Like I said, I liked the first act where it felt like prisoners, but after that it was just a slog and it was really stupid and downright embarrassing at parts. This is also one of those horror movies that would end in everyone involved going to jail, or at the very least on trial for murder. Without any spoilers, there's 2 dead bodies at the end of the movie and no rational explanation other than that they were murdered by this group of people doing a strange religious exorcism on children. So I would not recommend you watch this movie. If you want to watch a horror movie, watch Saw X instead, which is not great. It's just okay, but it's better than this. Anyway, what's your favorite horror movie? Let me know in the comments below and be sure to like and subscribe for more content. Bye bye.